Alright guys, Raw Rustler here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the August 30th edition of Smackdown Live after a pretty good show last week. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. A really great main event matchup between AJ Styles and Dolph Ziggler, and a very eventful episode of Talking Smack with The Miz totally destroying Daniel Bryan, calling The Miz a coward. How would this show follow up? Well, it followed up in fairly meh fashion. It was an okay show, but there was nothing to it that was spectacular. And the Talking Smack, which I have seen as well, I can go over that right now. There was very little to it. Rhino and Heath Slater came on and talked about how it's a big moment for Heath Slater and how Rhino's not won a tag title in 18 years, so quite good emotion actually from Rhino. And then AJ Styles came on and basically broke kayfabe, and Daniel Bryan said TNA, which was interesting. But very uneventful episode of Talking Smack this week. But I guess you can't have the Miz promos every single week. And we actually did have a Miz promo as we kicked off SmackDown. SmackDown kicked off with a callback to last week's show as well as last week's Talking Smack, where we then saw Daniel Bryan and Shane backstage watching it on the monitor. Shane said to Daniel Bryan, "You probably shouldn't be provoking the talent because it doesn't create a nice talent relations." Bryan said, "Well, if you don't want me to voice my opinion, then sure, I won't." But the fact remains, I still believe that. He believed that, he believed what he said. He said Miz is a coward, and he fully is behind that. Even though later on in Talking Smack, he will actually go on to apologise to The Miz. Not obviously in person, but on that show, it's at least a forum where he could apologise to The Miz. The show starts out with The Miz running to the ring. His music hits like when he's halfway down the ramp, which shows nice intensity from The Miz. And The Miz comes out and cuts another pretty good promo. It was nowhere near the level of what he cut last week, but it was a very, very good promo. And basically saying, I should be on the show, I don't need anyone to give me a spot on this show, I am this show. And he is then interrupted by Dolph Ziggler, which got a kind of a little bit of a pop, not too much of a crowd reaction. Ziggler comes down and says, "Miz, if you want to prove yourself, if you want to prove you're not a coward, hit me." And Dolph Ziggler takes off his sweatshirt, which got, of course, some cheers. And Miz takes off his jacket and is ready to hit him. And then Miz leaves with Maurice up the ramp. Dolph Ziggler would then go on to call Miz a coward. And we would find out that later on in Talking Smack, a match would be booked for Backlash between The Miz and Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title. Now, this segment was a very, very good segment in terms of promo ability. Ziggler's promos have really been great since the Ambrose feud, and this promo here from Miz was great as well. Miz here was great, not as good as last week Talking Smack, but how could you be as good as that promo last week? However, this segment is also very iffy because The Miz has lost all of his momentum. It's all gone. Miz showed in this promo that he's 100% a coward. He didn't stand up to Dolph Ziggler. He didn't fight Dolph Ziggler. And I think if he'd fight and lost, it would have looked so much better than him just walking away. So this promo, this segment, I'm very iffy on if I liked it or not. Just very strange segment to watch as a fan of both guys. Very strange. We move into our first match of the show. It would be the first round match in the Tag Team Tournament Series. The Hype Bros against the Vaudevillains. Hype Bros today. It's strange when I watch the Hype Bros, I always change my opinion on them, and this actually happens for a lot of the talent. Obviously, Dana Brooke is one of them who I'll like one week and then the next week she's total garbage. The Hype Bros, honestly, I watched them this week, and they won. They beat the Vaudevillains, which was a shock to me. It was a shock to a lot of people, I imagine. They beat the Vaudevillains, and I thought they actually showed quite a good amount of charisma. So I'm not going to grade the matchup. They won with the Hype Rider. It was around probably 4 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. The one with the Hype Rider, they advanced. They would face the winners of the Headbangers, who would return to the WWE on this show, and Slater and Rhino. So interesting there. I imagine the final will be Slater and Rhino and American Alpha, looking at the brackets like that. But I'm not going to rate the matchup. There's nothing really to rate. AJ Styles was backstage walking around saying how he's the face of the company. Face of SmackDown, actually, not the company. And then he ran into Apollo Crews, and Apollo Crews spelt his name out to AJ. And if this is Apollo Crews' new gimmick, then it needs to be eliminated. If we are taking Apollo Crews more seriously now, which we really should be, but after the King of Strong smile, which he has been for most of his tenure in this company, then he needs to not be a stupid guy who just spells stuff out like he did in this matchup. So AJ Styles would walk out to the ring, cut a promo against, and what was cool, I really, really liked this, how the announcer, I can't remember which one it is, but he said that AJ Styles would now like to be called the face that runs the place. I did like that because we know that this is going to eventually end up. I'm predicting it will be Styles and Cena at Mania for the WWE World title, and John Cena will probably get that win back there, which is very, very fine, and it's a good long-term storyline that they have a lot to build from. So yeah, it's very, very cool. Styles needs to show, and he needs to shove it in our faces as fans of John Cena, that he beat John Cena. So he wears the headband around his head, which shows you just how big John Cena is. And he has, he's the face that runs the place, so he rubs it in every second, which I really, really liked. He would be interrupted by Apollo Crews. A lot of interrupting on this show. And Apollo Crews would challenge AJ Styles to a matchup. They had a matchup. It was a decent matchup. As I said earlier, Apollo Crews used the silly gimmick of spelling words out. So he spelt Punch Out Tomorrow Ronaldo. Punch, he said. And I said, oh my god, Apollo Crews. However, this is probably the best Apollo Crews has looked on the main roster. I thought this was a decent matchup. The Gorilla Press Slam into the Samoan Drop was a pretty cool move and actually got a good near fall. But in the end, of course, AJ Styles wins with a phenomenal forearm after catching Apollo Crews with a stunner on the ropes. Decent matchup, 2 3/4 stars. Probably went around 6-7 minutes with a commercial break, but I still think it was a decent matchup, 2 3/4 stars. AJ Styles looks good going into his title match with Dean Ambrose at Backlash in a week. And what happened after that? Oh yeah, Renee. There was a segment where Renee Young was going to the house of Slater, and she met Heath Slater's wife, Beulah, who is a lovely woman. You should definitely check her out. And he met Heath Slater's 7 children who stole his car at the end. Rhino was also there for some reason, which I found very, very funny. Rhino also was kind of looking up Renee Young towards the end of the segment, like, you're right, love. And that was cool. And I'm sure Renee Young was like, Dean, come and help me. But yeah, I thought this was either... I've seen this described in a couple of ways. I think the best one is this was either the best, worst thing ever, or the worst, best thing ever. Again, it was kind of funny, but I think that it was funny in a bad way, because Heath Slater's been great, and this is probably the best Heath Slater's ever been in this company, but this here was a little bit too wacky for me. I'm sure people loved it. If you loved it, I could probably see why, but if you didn't love it, I could also see why. We then had Randy Orton, we had Bray Wyatt giving the Serpent a sermon, which was the way they worded it. And Bray Wyatt basically in the end challenged Randy Orton to Backlash, and in the end that match has been set. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt at Backlash. That's a very interesting matchup. It's never happened to my knowledge, so it's definitely different. It's unique, and I'm looking forward to that because I want to see where they go with it. Because Orton could really use a win coming off the demolition that Brock Lesnar gave him. So Orton could really use a win here, but Bray Wyatt wasn't on SummerSlam, so he could use a win as well. I would go with Randy Orton to win, and I do think Randy Orton should win. I love Bray Wyatt to death. I'd like him to get a win, but Randy Orton really does need a win back after the destruction at the hands of Brock Lesnar. But a good promo. I like Randy Orton here. In the end, he went in the ring to attack Bray, and Bray Wyatt vanished. So the feud, to me, the only issue is it's kind of like that Ambrose Jericho feud at the beginning of the year. There's no real story to build from. Why are they fighting? There's no real reason or motivation for any of these guys to be fighting. But I'm hoping that after Backlash, if they continue it, they can have a motivation as maybe a #1 contenders feud or something like that. But now, it's a fine feud at the moment. I just want there to be a motivation for these two to fight, because these are two of the top guys on the brand, These were the 4th draft pick and the 5th draft pick, so the two of the big guys on the brand. We then had a women's tag match, and of course, because this is what Smackdown Live pretty much do now, they had to get all 6 women on the show, so they had a tag team matchup with 4 women. They had Nikki on commentary, and then Carmella would attack her. I really liked Carmella here. She showed a lot of viciousness, intensity. She was very cocky, which Carmella is just such a better heel than a babyface. She has cockiness, she has that intensity, which really helps her. She's also a very attractive woman, and I know that this is probably obvious, but most heels, like when Trish Stratus was a heel, was probably her biggest time of looking attractive, at least to me, probably not to a lot of people. But heels do look attractive. Look at Eva Marie, look at Nikki Bella, I guess, when she was a heel. And yeah, I just think that she works better as a heel because she's fairly hot. She's really hot when I think about it, but I think she definitely works better as a heel. And she showed a lot of viciousness. She attacked Nikki Bella at ringside, through into the barricade. And in the matchup, I believe Alexa Bliss rolled up Becky Lynch for the win. Fine women's match. I give it probably 2.25 stars. I'm giving it too much with 2.5 here. 2.25 stars. Becky Lynch is rolled up by Alexa Bliss, which means that Alexa does get her win back from last week. 50-50 booking. I hate 50-50 booking, but at least you know that each woman is at least going to look strong going into this 6-woman's tag next week. Even though Natalya hasn't looked particularly strong since Battleground, to be fair. She didn't do much at SummerSlam, so they should probably build each woman up a little bit more next week on SmackDown before that big Backlash first pay-per-view. But overall, as I just said, decent matchup, well, fine matchup, 2.25 stars. We then had the second match in our first round of the tag team tournament, the Headbangers against Mosh and Thrash against Heath Slater and Rhino. Kind of a comedy matchup. I knew it would be. Slater got destroyed by the Headbangers, but in the end would tag Rhino, and Rhino got the gore on, I believe, Mosh. I'm not going to rate it. If I was, it'd be like 2 stars. It was fine, again, for what it was. It builds on a storyline, and it does work. I can't believe of all the tag teams they were thinking of getting back, Mosh and Thrash of the Headbangers were the one they picked. Is this going to be a long-term thing? I bloody hope not, because they really didn't look good here. The leg drop, the leg drop powerbomb didn't look very good. I'm going to be honest, they didn't look very good at all in this matchup. But 2 stars, Slater and Rhino advance and will be facing the Hype Bros next week, which I imagine they'll win, and American Alpha will be facing the Usos, so our final will probably be American Alpha against Slater and Rhino, because that makes sense for the storyline. And then we had our main event of the show. Oh no, we didn't. We had some guy in the ring in his oh, I hated this segment so much. There was this guy in the ring, and he was basically challenging anybody. Nobody knew who this guy was. The commentators had no idea. I think Daniel Bryan called him the Milkman. He had tidy whities on that were very white. AJ even said tidy whities. Kane would come out and kill him with a chokeslam or a tombstone or something. This was horrible. This was really horrible. And then we had the main event, Baron Corbin against Dean Ambrose. Pretty decent matchup. Probably one of the best matches Baron Corbin's had on the main roster. Probably not... well, actually, maybe it is one of the best matches he's had. Decent intensity from Baron Corbin. He's a great heel. Ambrose plays off it very, very well. It's nice to see Ambrose back in that pseudo babyface role, which he really should be if you want to get him over. He's your top babyface on the brand. And feuding with a guy like Styles is definitely going to work. Styles on commentary was very, very good here. And in the end, Styles gets Ambrose, I believe, eliminated, DQ'd. Yeah, Styles gets Ambrose DQ'd when he hits that he inadvertently hits Baron Corbin with a high kick. Goes for the phenomenal forearm to Ambrose after Ambrose's dirty deeds Baron Corbin, and he gets crotched on the ropes, and Ambrose just leaves him on the ropes. And I guess the meme was, I guess AJ is now contracted ring ropeitis. Yeah. So anyway, decent matchup, 2 3/4 stars. I think if you went 2.5 here, I'd see why. But I think 2 1/3, 2 3/4. I did like the finish. I did like the end, to be honest. But I guess that was SmackDown. Overall, I'd probably say it's about a 6 out of 10 show. A fine show. You don't need to go out where you watch it. I watch these shows every week, so it doesn't matter. But you don't really need to go out your way to watch it. And not as good as Raw. Not as good as Raw with Kevin Owens winning the Universal Belt and some pretty good matches on Raw. There was better matches on Raw all round than this show. So Raw takes a 5-1 or wait, 2-4, a 4-2. Raw's still losing, but 4-2. So Raw can fight back. Hopefully, I'm hoping that this is a bit of a fight back from Raw. But yeah, good. SmackDown was okay. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Wrestling. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Tell me your thoughts on this episode of SmackDown Live. What did you think to the main event between Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose? What do you think to the tag team tournament? Do you think that the American Alpha are going to win, or Heath Slater and Rhino are going to win, or are the other two teams, are the Hype Bros going to win, or the Usos going to win? What do you think to the women's division? What do you think to Carmella being a heel? Do you think she's intense enough? Do you think she's attractive enough to be a heel? I know that's a very weird question, but I think it's actually quite an important question. I think of big heels like Trish Stratus when she was a heel. I think of women's wrestling heels. Jesus Christ. Sasha Banks in NXT. I think of attractive women. Carmella's a very attractive woman, so I think she works much better as a heel. I'm not saying the faces aren't attractive, but I feel like a heel really does need to have that. Actually, that's something I do want to say before we end. Do you guys think that Smackdown is the Divas brand? Because when I look at the Smackdown women's roster, Nikki Bella is a diva, she's not a women's wrestler. Eva Marie's a diva, she's not a women's wrestler. Carmella is very much a diva, she's not a women's wrestler. Alexa Bliss is a diva, she's not a women's wrestler. Naomi was on Total Divas at one point. Becky Lynch and Natalya was on Total Divas as well, so I wouldn't say she's a diva though. Becky Lynch and Natalya are the only two real divas, non-divas, sorry, whereas Raw have Nia Jax, they have Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha. Paige isn't really a diva, but I guess she was on Total Divas. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Wrestler. Give me your thoughts on the show. Carmella's heel turn, the main event. Do you think the women on this show are kind of divas? And obviously, what do you think to the belts? I'm sorry if the lighting's bad. I've just noticed how bad it is. I'm also sorry for this review going up late because my brother was sick and I had to tidy the room up a little bit. I can still see it. I will be reviewing NXT and the CWC tomorrow. We have no reports on what matches will take place, so it's going to be total free-for-all. And thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Wrestler. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'm going to be playing some Life is Strange or WWE now, so thanks for watching, guys.